streaming all over the place, right? I'm streaming all over the place, as is my prerogative to stream everywhere and anywhere, right? Check it, check one, two, three. Check one, two, three. Hello, everyone. I'm Celso Garcia, streaming live from. Nice to meet you all. Welcome to my live stream. Streaming now on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, Instagram, and Substack. And more platforms will keep getting added. And TikTok. Don't forget about TikTok, right? So, yeah, definitely. I appreciate you all for joining me tonight. Definitely appreciate you all for joining me tonight. I'm gonna cover a lot, right? I'm gonna cover a lot. Donald Trump is on the Air Force One right now, and he's doing a press card gaggle live for Air Force One. We're gonna cover that a little bit, and we're gonna also cover the nature of cancel culture, right? What is cancel culture? Cancel culture is something that's been happening for a long time, hundreds of years in America, but since the founding of America. And so what happens is that those people that stand up against the establishment end up not being allowed to speak, right? Let me see something, right? Okay. Is that better? Yes. So I was echoing in my own headphones, and I don't like to hear myself, right? I don't like to hear myself speak. And give me 1 second. Let me fix that. I thought I fixed it, but I didn't. So, does that sound better, everyone? Okay, does that sound better? Thank you. Thank you for joining me. So, let's jump right into it. Let's talk about cancel culture. Um, it's very prevalent because most of the time we always want to push a certain perspective or a certain point of view on everything and on everyone, right? We always want to support one point of view over another point of view. Unfortunately, that's just a reality that we face in America, right? We want to support certain points of views, and we want to discourage people from we want to discourage other point of views, right? That's just a reality. That's the way we flow. Believe in First Amendment rights and we believe in freedom of speech, but when you do speak up, what ends up happening? You end up getting fired. You end up losing your job because that's just what we do in America, right? Is it right? No. Is it contradicting the First Amendment? Always. It's contradicting the First Amendment, and I don't agree with uh, with that mentality. Never. I never agree with that type of mentality where people lose their job or lose their um, or end up facing economic problems because of what you believe, right? I don't ever agree with that. Never agree with that mentality that anyone should face any type of consequences just because of what they stand for or what they believe in. Never, never believe in that. Let me see. I'm changing the settings a little bit. I'm hearing myself echo. Okay, is that better? Okay. So, okay, now I got it under control. Thank you for holding on tight. And so, Hassan Piker, they've been trying to cancel him for a long time, right? They've been trying to cancel him for a long time. They don't like his perspective. And my perspective is that the reason why the Democrats want to cancel him, I understand why the Republicans want to cancel him and they go hard after him. But the Democrats also want to cancel him because of his calling them out for accepting money from big donors such as APAC, right? They don't like that, right? They don't like him um, speaking out against yeah, so they don't like the taking any type of money against big money donors, right? Democratic Party has a big issue, right? They don't like the big donors taking over and allowing them to speak up, right? Allowing them to speak up. I wish they didn't allow the big donors, but the issue is that they do allow the big donors um, to control the narrative, and that's the biggest issue that we have, right? And let me see. Let's listen to Bernie Sanders what he has to say about them trying to cancel Hassan Piker.
Senator Sanders, thank you so much for meeting with me. I think the lesson from 2024 is we're supposed to send Democrats anywhere and everywhere where they'll listen to us. And you will go to Joe Rogan. You'll talk to most people. I'm wondering what you think about this whole narrative around Hassan Piker and some Democrats just saying they're never going to go on his show.
Well, I've talked to Hassan, and I think he's, doing in many respects a very good job. And the bottom line is that we have got to communicate with people. It's fine to talk to everybody you know in your neighborhood. People agree with you on everything. But I've been on Joe Rogan's show, as you understand.
You got a lot of heat for that.
Of course I did. And I disagree with Joe Rogan on this or that issue. But the last
So I keep getting echoes on my headpiece. I changed some settings. Echoes. Okay. On my headpiece. I keep getting echoes. Okay. On my headpiece. So the reality is that so let's just move on to the next topic, which is the press gaggle, Donald Trump's press, and we'll talk about cancel culture a little bit more. So we're getting conflicted messages about all the things that are happening in across America, right? This was one of the press conferences that Trump held. And some people are criticizing him for pretty much, instead of worrying about addressing the nation, he's addressing the ultra rich and the ultra wealthy at his event. He hasn't really addressed the people, American people directly. And he's addressing the rich.
With so many friends and partners, leaders, and innovators here at the Future Investment Initiative. And it's a really great group of people, very smart group of people. They know what's happening in the world. It's my second address to the conference as President of the United States, and it's my honor to be here. Thank you very much. As you know, we're gathered at a moment of bold action and historic decision to make America and our allies safer and stronger, more prosperous, more successful than ever before. And that's what's happening. Tonight, we're closer than ever to the rise of the Middle East that is finally free at last from Iranian terror, aggression, and nuclear blackmail. That's what's happened. It was nuclear blackmail for years and years. And beyond that, there was blackmail, period. Under my leadership, America is ending the threat posed by this radical regime, decimating Iran's capabilities with Operation Epic Fury, something that nobody's ever seen anything quite like it. We have the most powerful military in the world by far. I built it in my first term. Remember, I said $1 trillion. They all said, what do you mean $1 trillion? $1 trillion. Every year, another trillion the next, another trillion. We have the best people. We have by far the best equipment. We have weapons that nobody's ever seen before. We have weapons that nobody even knows about, except for a few of us. For 47 years, Iran has been known as the bully of the Middle East, but they are not the bully any longer. They're on the run.
And now the United States became the bullies. Now the United States became the bullies of the Middle East. Is that what he's saying? Is that what he's arguing? They're no longer the bullies, so we became the bullies in the Middle East. And so a lot of people are speaking about Donald Trump's connections to the business world, and he has a lot of money invested. A lot of countries invested in his golf club. He kept them from going bankrupt. So, and Jared Kushner, his son-in-law, how he's making a lot of money from war. That's the issue right now. Let me see. Okay. So let's keep listening to his speech that he gave in Future Investments Initiative. And
Last June, America's armed forces obliterated Iran's key nuclear facilities in one of the most spectacular military actions of all time. Nobody has ever seen anything like it. In the dead of night, no moon, 1:00 in the morning, we went in. It was called Operation Midnight Hammer. And every single one of those bombs hit their mark. Air shafts. They will never build an air shaft again, I promise you that. They went right down that granite mountain through air shafts. Most incredible technology you've ever seen, that a thing like that. And it was decimation, it was obliteration. One of the networks said, well, maybe it wasn't that bad. It was that bad. Turned out to be even more than we thought. But after that attack, the Iranian lunatics refused to cease their pursuit of nuclear weapons. And I have to say, before that, Barack Hussein Obama, did you ever hear of him? Barack Hussein Obama, he had the Iran nuclear deal. He went to Iran, he paid him. Remember, he sent two 757, Boeing 757 jetliners. They took the seats out and they piled it with cash, like 1.7 billion of cash. That's when I realized the president is very powerful. The presidency is a very powerful thing when you can do that. I haven't done that yet. I haven't found a reason to do that yet, but that's big. 1.7 billion in cash. You know, there wasn't a bank in DC, Virginia, or Maryland that had any money after that disaster. But they sent the cash to Iran. But more importantly, they signed an agreement, the Iran nuclear deal, which if I didn't terminate it in my first term, I terminated it almost immediately. If I didn't terminate it, they would have had a nuclear weapon long ago, and they would have used it on the Middle East, Israel, and
Most people don't know Obama as Obama. He always has to throw in the Hussein. He always has to, he always has to throw in the Hussein, right? He just has to throw in the Hussein. Always has to throw in the Saddam Hussein. Right? Always has to throw that in there to make him look bad or make him feel bad, right? That's just what he has to do, right? Bash people and put people down in order to feel better about whatever's happening, right? He has to make himself feel better, prop himself up. That is something he does automatically, right? Trump is famous for doing that. Trump is famous for, putting people down to lift himself up. That's just what he does. And this is what causes a lot of turbulence in a lot of people's opinion. So Trump claimed before that he was going to drain the swamp and that he was going to get rid of everything that was corrupt, and he was going to get rid of all the people
the
that
Middle
were doing
East.
wrong.
And you know the Middle East because when you look at all the missiles that got fired, UAE had 1,500 missiles shot at it. They didn't think they were going to have any. Saudi Arabia didn't expect to have, I mean, we have the most powerful Saudis. Oh, yes, sir, you are so powerful. But yeah, sir, you didn't expect any missiles going to Saudi Arabia. They didn't expect them in Qatar. They didn't expect them in Kuwait, in Bahrain. The missiles rained down on you. They were going to hit you with nuclear or whatever they had. But we stopped it. We stopped it. We stopped it with him. And then there was a big moment also in my first administration when I took out Soleimani. And a lot of people think that might have been the biggest thing of all because he was a mad genius. He was a vicious, horrible human being, but he was a great general and a great leader, and a leader in a certain way, very, very powerful leader. In fact, he was so powerful that I really think that the leadership of Iran was extremely happy when I took him out, but they don't say that. But nobody's going to be asking him anymore because they're not here either. But getting the termination and terminating the Iran nuclear deal that was done by Biden and Obama. I would say mostly Obama. Actually, I don't think Biden knew where he was then, too. He had no idea. If you said to him, the Iran nuclear, what's that? But there was 4 years of hell we had with this guy as our leader, I'll tell you. And then we hit him with the B-2 bomber, so we did it twice. But if they would have had a nuclear weapon, it would have been a whole big deal. And I wouldn't be here right now, and probably you guys wouldn't be too happy. You might be in an area, who knows where you would have been. But we did it twice.
So, but Obama, a lot of people are saying that's a good thing. That deal that was made was actually avoiding war and not causing destruction of a lot of people, right? It actually kept the Middle East in check without any war, right? So it was a peace deal. That's why he won a Nobel Peace Prize. So I don't understand why Trump has so much animosity and really gets upset every time his name is mentioned. Um, and he has not kept a relationship open as president. And a lot of people are wondering why have the president been quiet about all of Trump's actions, or they're not being covered by the media? Are the former presidents canceled? Are the former presidents canceled? That's my question. Are the former presidents not being heard by other people? Everyone, my name is Celso Garcia. Hit the follow button on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, Instagram, and Substack, and TikTok. Hit the like, share button. And I want to know how's the audio is coming out. And I want to know how's the audio. Is the audio good or it's not good? Is the audio good or it's not good? I'm having audio issues all of a sudden. Audio issues all of a sudden. Let me see. Okay, let me try this. Maybe this will be a little bit better on the audio part of things. Let me see. Okay. Let me see. Let me see if this will improve the audio. Sorry, everyone. Are they trying to cancel me? Maybe this will be a little bit better. Audio part of things. I wonder who's trying to cancel me now. Am I on the cancellation list? Is this something they don't want me covering? It makes me wonder sometimes because this happens when you speak about certain topics. Sorry, I'm being a cynic, right? Are they trying to cancel me? But this is what people do, right? I wonder who's trying to cancel me now. Am I on the cancellation list? Is this something they don't want me covering? It makes me wonder sometimes. Are they that desperate? Because this happens when you speak about certain topics. Are they that desperate?
And I really believe we saved the Middle East. We saved not just Israel, we saved the Middle East. And it was proven by all those rockets that fired down upon you. Saudi Arabia got hit a lot. You all got hit, and nobody expected any missiles to be wasted. You would have thought they were only going at Israel. They weren't. As President of the United States, I would never allow the world's #1 state sponsor of terror to obtain a nuclear weapon. I said that for a long time. And I didn't. To defend America and our allies over the past 27 days, the U.S. Armed Forces, most powerful in the world, have been annihilating Iran's military capacity with force, precision, skill like the world has never. As President of the United States, I would never allow the world's #1 state sponsor of terror to obtain a nuclear weapon. I said that for a long time. See? And I did. It was to defend America and our allies over the past 27 days, the U.S. Armed Forces, most powerful in the world, have been annihilating Iran's military capacity with force, precision, skill like the world has never. As President of the United States, I would never allow the world's #1 state sponsor of terror to obtain a nuclear weapon. I said that for a long time. See? And I did. It was To defend America and our allies over the past 27 days, the U.S. Armed Forces, most powerful in the world, in annihilating Iran's military capacity with force, precision, skill like the world has never. Of the United States, I would never allow the world's #1 state sponsor of terror to obtain a nuclear weapon. I said that for a long time. See? And I did. It was to defend America and our allies over the past 27 days, the U.S. Armed Forces, most powerful in the world, annihilating Iran's military capacity with force, precision,
You hear that, right?
skill like the world has never. Of the United States, I would never allow the world's #1 state sponsor to obtain a nuclear weapon.
You hear that, right, everyone?
See? And I did. It was
You hear that?
America and our allies over the past 27 days, the U.S. Armed Forces, most powerful in the world, annihilating Iran's military capacity with force, precision,
You hear that, right?
skill like the world has never.
You hear that, right, everyone?
Violence.
You hear that? You hear that, right? You hear that, right, everyone?
Violence.
You hear that? You hear that, right? You hear that, right, everyone?
Violence.
You hear that? I'm just having a serious echo for some reason. A serious echo of everything I say keeps getting repeated in my ear. It keeps echoing. Even when I play the videos, it keeps echoing. Um, I don't know what's going on.
Violence. It's actually really violence. We're crushing Iran's currently as we speak. I just looked. We had another big day. We hit them. They don't know what's happening. Remember this. They lied about 3 days ago. I said, yeah, we're negotiating with Israel. We are not negotiating. They're being hit so hard. Anybody.
I thought we had to open it up. You hear that? The Strait of Trump. That's his new argument that we have to open up the Strait of Trump. So now he's going around telling everyone that the strait belongs to the United States, just like the Strait of America. And we're talking about really strong corruption, right? Really strong corruption that we have to speak up against, right? We can't have that mentality that we own everything in the world, that we are capitalists. I understand we're capitalists, but why do we have to own everyone? Why? Why do we have to have that mentality that we own everyone? And Let's play this clip real fast.
Awesome. I met his wife. She's dope.
They got a lot.
Yeah, I went to this event, this aid event, which was really cool.
And mind you, they're
Private
trying to
event.
also
It
cancel
was
Zoran's wife,
you know,
right?
not no filming, no nothing. You know what I mean? But
They're trying to cancel Zoran's wife too, right? I don't know if you heard about that. They're trying to cancel her too, and just like Hassan.
it was very cool. I hung out with Mehdi a lot. I hung out with Hassan Minhaj. We had all three Hassans at the same place. For the record, we had all three Hassans were in the building. Yes, I'm at Rama. Did he disavow you? Yeah, he was like, dude, I disavow you. No, he did not disavow me. Did you tell him to tune out the bad faith haters? I did. I did. Oh, yeah, we had the Hassan trifecta. There were no photos of the event, so we couldn't take a photo. I got dressed up, all fancy style. And, I put on a suit. It was a casual suit to go to this event. And it was this massive, Noah calls it the Muslim Illuminati dinner, and it kind of is like that, like jokingly. A lot of big names were in attendance. I sat very close in proximity to Rashid Khalidi. I didn't get to talk to him because Noah was unfortunately sitting in between us, and he fucking chewed his goddamn ear for the approximate 2 hours that we were at dinner. So I didn't even get to say hi to him, nor did I get to talk to him at all. But I did talk quite a bit to Mark Lamont Hill, Mehdi Hassan, numerous other people. Like I said, the triple Hassan threat was there. We were all there in the same room, chopping it up. We should have done a contingency plan. We definitely Trippy Orchids. Think of it 25 gifted subs. Gifted subs are 35% off. There are just so many wonderful people that I love that I haven't.
So just have a little delay, right? But let's listen to this.
Really less than 8%. But for 350 years, it was good. They were there 100 years longer than us. Mexico, they're at 350, we're at 250. And I said, often asked myself, why do we call it the Gulf of Mexico? It seems like we dominate. Well, when I checked, it was more than 92%. So I announced, I wouldn't say Mexico was thrilled, but I announced that from now on, the Gulf of Mexico is going to be called the Gulf of America. And it took about 1 hour and it was done. The president called me. She's really a nice person too. I like her a lot. She called up. She had the most beautiful voice. She's a very elegant woman, has a beautiful, beautiful voice. She goes, President, tell me, this is not so. No, it's so. Oh, it's so. And then Google Maps changed it. We won the court case in about 1 hour, and Google Maps changed the name. And it's now the Gulf of America, which it should be in all fairness. We're crushing Iran's weapons stockpiles, destroying their missiles and drone factories at levels nobody ever thought was possible. and turning their defense industrial base into nothing. Iran's Navy is gone. It's all sunk at the bottom of the Gulf and elsewhere. Did you see the attack submarine that we have one after one of their boats? It was called the Soleimani. It was the pride of their fleet. But this attack submarine goes like 60 miles an hour. I never saw anything. And it caught them in about 2 minutes. And that was the end of the Soleimani. No, then they're 100% dead. They have 22 mine droppers. They go on mine droppers. And the mine droppers, 22, all 22 are gone. So I guess they can drop mines, but they're going to have to take them out by a rowboat because they don't have any boats. Their Air Force is
and people don't get upset that he repeats himself, right? People don't get upset that he repeats himself.
dead, totally, completely dead. It's out of business. No planes left at all. Their anti-aircraft and communications capabilities are totally dismantled and dead. And their leaders are all dead. Other than that, I think they're doing quite well.
He keeps repeating himself in every
No, their leaders are dead.
making the same joke, and they laugh every time they hear his joke. Every time they joke, they just laugh every time. They laugh. That's like a punchline. Our president with a punch. They just laugh every time. Every time he makes a joke, he makes the same joke over and over, and somehow people find a way to laugh at him. No matter how many times he makes the same joke over and over and over, people just find it hilarious that he's making the joke that he's making. So even though they claim that that was being canceled, he has been he has been known to cancel he's been known to cancel people, right? These are the power brokers in our society that if you don't agree with them and you don't laugh at their jokes, they will they will push you out of whatever you're doing. They will push you, right?
supreme. He's dead. His son is either dead or in very bad shape because nobody's heard from him. I think he says, just keep me out of this. This is the only country where nobody wants to lead.
And Trump claims that US prices are plummeting downward after boasting the only thing going up is your 401k, what it means for you and your money, right? And so this is an article written by MoneyWise, and it's saying the article adheres to strict editorial standards. Some of all links may be monetized. Rising living costs have been a persistent concern for Americans. President Donald Trump blames the lies of merely his predecessor. He argues his administration is turning things around. We inherited the higher prices and we're bringing them down, Trump said at a December 25 rally in Mount Pocono, Pennsylvania. So it's just interesting to me that everyone is always trying to find a way to put excuses for him, to try to cover for him. So everyone's trying to find a way to put excuses for him. I don't necessarily agree that we should be covering for him. If the stock market is plunging and the oil prices are rising, let it cover that. So everyone's trying to find a way. We shouldn't find a way to make him seem um, better or make him I don't necessarily agree seem like he's a good person. If the stock market is plunging, just say what it is, right? Rising, let it. So everyone's trying to find a way. We shouldn't find a way to make him seem. Don't make him sound better than what he is. That's it. If he's messing things up, just cover that. Just like I say, cover that for Democrats or Republicans. They're not doing the right thing. Cover it. Just say what it is. The way it is. Don't try to make it look better or look worse. Just say it the way it is. Be objective and just put it out there. Don't make him sound better than what he is. That's it. If he's messing things up, just he's saying they're gonna go up. The price is gonna go up. Cover that for Democrats or Republicans, and they're gonna go down. Cover it. Just say what it is. The way it is. Don't try to make it look better. And Congress just adjourned, right? Be objective and just. According to the Wall Street Journal, how long before airport security lines go back to normal? Transportation Security Administration workers may soon be paid, but airport security checkpoints are still short-staffed and lines are still snaking through terminals. Nearly 2,900 TSA officers called out from work on Saturday, or more than 10%, the Department of Homeland Security said Sunday. That was down from more than 3,500 officers on Friday, or more than 12%, the highest level since DHA funding lapsed in February, and TSA officers stopped getting paid. President Trump signed an executive order Friday directing officials to pay TSA workers amid standoff in Congress over funding for DHS. Some could get paid as early as Monday, DHS said, but it could take days or longer before U.S. air travel gets back to normal. And that depends partly on when TSA agents who have been calling out start showing up to work again. So just because they're getting paid or they might get paid doesn't mean they're gonna show up. Friday, directed officials to pay TSA workers Congress over funding for DHS. Some could get paid as early as Monday, DHS said, but it could take days or longer before U.S. air travel gets back to normal. And it depends partly on when TSA agents who have been calling out start showing up to work again. So just because they're getting paid or they might get paid doesn't mean they're gonna show up. Friday, directed officials to pay TSA workers Congress over funding for DHS. Some could get paid as early as Monday, DHS said, but it could take days or longer before U.S. air travel gets back to normal. And it depends partly on when TSA agents who have been calling out start showing up to work again. Let's play some more videos of what's happening out there. play some more videos of what's happening out there. Let's play some more videos of what's happening out there. Play some more videos of what's happening out there. Okay, so let's see. What's going on with these? Okay, so let's see. What's going on with these? Okay, so let's see. For a Nobel Peace Prize, according to Donald Trump, latest rant, he should be up for a Nobel Peace Prize. He shouldn't be getting canceled. He shouldn't be getting attacked. You should be awarding him a Nobel Peace
Like
Prize.
Trump or don't like Trump, I settled 8 wars, big ones, some going on for 36 years, 32 years, 31 years, 28 years, 25 years.
For a Nobel Peace
Some
Prize,
just getting ready to start, like India,
according to Donald
Pakistan,
Trump,
where already
latest
8
rant,
jets were shot out of the air.
he should be up for a
And,
Nobel
I got it
Peace
done
Prize.
in
He shouldn't be getting
rapid order
canceled.
without nuclear weapons.
He shouldn't be getting
I can't
attacked.
think of anybody in history
You
that
should
get
be
the Nobel
awarding
Prize
him a
more than
Nobel
me.
Peace
I don't
Prize.
wanna be bragging like Trump I said it was Obama got the Nobel Prize. He had no idea why. He 36 years, no idea. He 31 years, says, I got the Nobel Prize. Why did he get a Nobel Prize?
For a Nobel Peace Prize. According to Donald Trump, latest rant, he should be up for a Nobel Peace Prize. He shouldn't be getting canceled. He shouldn't be getting attacked. He should be awarding him a Nobel Peace Prize. For a Nobel Peace Prize. According to Donald Trump, latest rant, he should be up for a Nobel Peace Prize. He shouldn't be getting canceled. He shouldn't be getting attacked. He should be awarding him a Nobel Peace Prize. For a Nobel Peace Prize. According to Donald Trump, latest rant, he should be up for a Nobel Peace Prize. He shouldn't be getting canceled. He shouldn't be getting attacked. He should be awarding him a Nobel Peace Prize. For a Nobel Peace Prize. According to Donald Trump, latest rant, he should be up for a Nobel Peace Prize. He shouldn't be getting canceled. He shouldn't be getting attacked. He should be awarding him a Nobel Peace Prize. For a Nobel Peace Prize. According to Donald Trump, latest rant, he should be up for a Nobel Peace Prize. He shouldn't be getting canceled. He shouldn't be getting attacked. He should be awarding him a Nobel Peace Prize. I'll be back around, guys. The whole setup is acting up. The volume, the audio is crazy. Latest rant, he should be up for a Nobel Peace Prize. He shouldn't be getting canceled. He should be up for a Nobel Peace Prize. He shouldn't be getting canceled. Okay, let's see if that fixes it. Let's see if that fixes it. Right? Hopefully that fixes it. The audio settings today are just going crazy, right? I guess they don't like me talking about.
All right, what's up, everybody? I am here on the ground.
This is another guy they criticize a lot. That fixes it. Let's see if that fixes it. Right? Hopefully that fixes it. The audio settings today are just going crazy, right?
In New York City at No Kings, as you can see behind you, we're just in Times Square. We're going right through Manhattan. I've been to every single No Kings protest that there has been in New York City. This one is by far the biggest. I've met so many amazing people here. So many of them out. I mean, look at these great signs. You know, people are enjoying themselves. People are happy. I have met so many amazing people here. It has been fantastic. It is easily the largest protest I've ever seen. And this protest around the country will shape up being your beginning in American history, and I am so excited to be part of it. I've spoken to young people, old people young at heart. All different backgrounds, races, generations, and they're all here by far the biggest. I've met so many amazing people here. Against every single thing every day, people are pissed off. I'm going to include some clips. People are enjoying it. I'll take around today. I said what I'm seeing on the ground. around. I just wanted to quickly come to you guys and say, New York City knows New York City shows up as the excited protest. New Yorkers don't mess around.
There's another person. This is another person they were trying to cancel.
And they're all every day. People are pissed off. I'm going to include, people are radio and take around today. I want to see.
Let me do something real fast.
Hi, everybody. I just left the No Kings protest, and I am blown away.
Protests in New York City. How's everyone doing? I hope everyone's doing good, and I hope you can see me live, Instagram, Facebook. My audio was just going crazy. It's like they don't want me to talk about this topic, right? Unfortunately, it's a topic they don't want me to. And that sound starts to go crazy. Everything starts to go crazy for no reason, right? My sound, my audio, it just starts going crazy. And I'm like, what's going on with this, right? What's going on? Why is it all going crazy? I didn't understand why. Everything just started going crazy. The audio, I started speaking about cancel culture, started speaking about all these things, and all of a sudden my audio started to go off, and I couldn't control it anymore, right? I couldn't control the audio anymore. So
I don't have time to do this, but I'm fighting wars
So this is what Trump had to do today. He wanted to prove to the naysayers that his whole ballroom is a good thing. So what he decided to do is...
This is very important. This is going to be for a long time, and it's going to be, I think it'll be the biggest ballroom anywhere in the world. It's the highest.
This is what he decided to do.
Same height, exact height of not higher, same height as the what?
So he decided to present his ballroom.
Exactly the same height. If you look, you have the White House over here, and that's a duplicate of, so it's faced totally to the White House, which is, I think, Here's another one. Wait, excuse me, wait, no, it's easier, I'm so busy. I don't have time to do this. But fighting wars and other things. This is very, very important because this is going to be with us for a long time. It's going to be, I think it'll be the greatest ballroom anywhere in the world. It's the highest level. Same exact height, not same height as the White House, exactly.
So you're gonna tell me that this is normal behavior? You're gonna tell me that this is normal behavior? You're gonna tell me that this is normal behavior for him to do what he's doing? Huh? Is this normal behavior? Okay, it's just a ball. Come on, it's just a ball. Just a ball. It's just a ball. It's just a ball. Stop. I guess she doesn't like the ball, right? Give me 1 second. Watch this video. Hit the like button, everyone. Hit the share. Hit the subscribe button. Let's watch it from the beginning again. It's bizarre, right?
Here's another one.
Give me 1 minute.
I thought I'd do this now because it's easier. I'm so busy that I don't have time to do this. But I'm fighting wars and other things. But this is very important because this is going to be with us for a long time, and it's going to be, I think it'll be the greatest ballroom anywhere in the world, the highest level. Same height, exact height of, not higher, same height as the White House, exactly the same height. And if you look, you have the White House over here, you have this, and that's a duplicate of the wall, so it pays total homage to the White House, which is, I think, very important too. Here's another one. Wait, excuse me, wait. I thought I'd do this now because it's easier. I'm so busy that I don't have time to do this. But I'm fighting wars and other things. But this is very important because this is going to be with us for a long time, and it's going to be, I think it'll be the greatest ballroom anywhere in the world. It's the highest level. Same height, exact height of, not higher, same height as the White House, exactly the same height. And if you look, you have the White House over here, you have this, and that's a duplicate of the wall, so it pays
It's just
total
one of those
homage
days,
to the
people.
White House, which is, I think, very important too.
How you like watching Trump on the loop?
Another one. Wait, excuse me, wait. I thought I'd do this now because it's easier. I'm so busy that I don't have time to do this. But
Man. And this is the funny part, that my worst live programming, my worst shows are the ones that get the best views. Isn't that funny? The ones that I do the worst, that I just wing it, are the ones that get the most views. How is that? How does that work? And the ones that I plan out and I do as best I can, and I'm like, I nailed it, I got it right, they don't do well. And I'm surprised, right? So this is the swamp, right, that Trump was draining, right? Spending millions and millions of dollars to remake a lot of things in his image, to put money on the dollar. You understand? And so too much is happening in our society, right? Too much is happening. And I feel that they don't want to hear from people like me, regular people like you. They don't want to hear from us, right? Why? Because we don't got nothing to lose. We just we're willing to speak what it is, right? And speaking about cancellation,
God has picked.
this is bizarre, right? What's happening in the White House. I'm Catholic, and I do believe in what I believe in, but I don't think everyone should believe what I believe in, right? I don't really ascribe to that type of mentality. I don't think everyone should believe what I believe in, and I wouldn't force anyone to be forced to have my point of views or my perspectives, right? Because we live in a free country where we believe in the freedom of speech, the freedom of religion, the freedom of assembly, the freedom of the press, the freedom of you believe whatever you want to believe, and you're free to believe whatever you want to believe because that's what you do, right? So that's just what you do, right? The freedom to believe whatever you want to believe, right?
Aside.
Let every round find its mark against the enemies of righteousness and our great nation. Give them wisdom in every decision, endurance for the trial ahead, unbreakable unity, and overwhelming violence of action against those who deserve no mercy.
He's praying for, quote, overwhelming violence against America's enemies. And in that same speech, he calls on God to break the teeth of the ungodly. This isn't just a blurring of church and state. This is the Old Testament language of wrath, of holy war. An approach reportedly alarming military leaders, legal experts, and veterans all across the country. And it's making this war with Iran feel less like a military operation and sound more like a crusade. That speech was part of the Pentagon's new monthly prayer service, which on its own is a departure from military norms.
So they're having a monthly prayer service instead of just letting people pick what you want to pray or what you choose to pray. They're saying it's a monthly prayer service and saying that the military is a Christian army. You shouldn't do that in America, right? Especially since it opens you up to a whole bunch of legal liability because now you're sponsoring one religion over another religion, right? You're sponsoring one religion over another religion, and you should never do that, right? You should never do that as a free nation or a nation that believes in a constitution that explicitly says we shouldn't sponsor one religion over another religion, because that's just the beauty of our democracy, right? That we believe in freedom of the press, freedom of religion, and the military, especially this military, shouldn't be encouraging only one religion over any other religion, because we're not a secular state, right? We're not a secular state. We're a country that believes in many rules, many laws, but the Constitution is the most highest law of the land, and everyone is allowed to believe or choose or not believe in whatever they want to believe in, right? If you choose not to believe, then you don't believe. If you choose to believe, then you believe. But no one can force you or say that this is what you have to believe, right? That's the beauty of this country. So it's alarming to people that they're pushing for a big cancellation culture for anyone that doesn't have the beliefs that they have, right? Um, even among Christianity, there's more than 20 denominations. There's 20 different ways of looking at things. And even among um, every other religion in the world, there's more than one way of even seeing the same religion. So to avoid any type of division, you allow all religions to exist and coexist in peaceful harmony, right? We allow all religions to peacefully coexist, and it shouldn't be that controversial. Thank you for the follows on X. A lot of follows on X. I really do appreciate you. And also on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Substack. We need as many followers as we can. We need as many followers as we can. The audio was bizarre earlier, so I had to reset the laptop to make sure that I keep capturing your information. Thank you so much for joining me live once again on another day. And so the main thing I really wanted to talk about was how they're trying to cancel. I spoke about it a little bit earlier, but I was speaking mostly about how they're trying to cancel Hassan Piker, which is a known Twitch streamer and left-wing advocate that has been pointing out things that are wrong in our society. So they're pretty much trying to cancel his programming, trying to get him off the air. And I feel that, right? I feel that because you've seen Colin Kaepernick, right? He was never able to play in the NFL again, right? He was never able to play in the NFL again because of his perspective and his views. They pretty much said you can't play in the NFL again. And so and I shared this. The other Hassan, one of the other Hassans spoke up and said the following: the campaign against Hassan Piker is about crushing the left. The whole point is that they want to crush the left, and that's what it's all about. Centrist groups like Third Way are trying to cancel the popular progressive streamer as part of their campaign to reduce far-left influence and infrastructure. Why are top Democrats joining them? So that's the other Hassan, Ziteo. And so, do you agree with canceling people that you don't agree with, right? And then this is the right wing, right? Sid Rosenberg, a radio show host. Why am I still blocking people every day on this page? Are you people bored? Stupid? Both. If you are a Democrat, blocked. If you disparage Trump, blocked. If you are anti-Semite and anti-Israel, blocked. If you are a liberal Jew who hates Bibi, blocked. If you like or even tolerate Mandani, blocked. You people all know who I am at this point. No one on radio gets more press around the country than me. I am not obligated on my page to argue with morons or even read any of your idiotic comments. Have I made myself clear? I'm Sid, and I approve this message. So that means he will cancel you. He will block you. He will, he admitted, Sid Rosenberg admitted that he blocks and cancels people on his page, right? And this is what we're dealing with in this country, the intolerance of point of views, right? That's what Bernie Sanders was saying. Bernie Sanders was saying there's a big intolerance of the alternative point of view, right? There's a big intolerance for that, right? A big intolerance for, right? There's a big intolerance for the perspective that people have, right? Why do people have intolerance? So people are questioning Trump's health again. Some people are questioning Trump's health again. Right? Some people are questioning Trump's health because of this clip, right? Where Trump had to sit down and brace himself. So they're saying that he stumbled and he couldn't speak, and he just lost his place where he was, right? That's what they're reporting in the media. Telemundo, what was it? Right? So this was an issue that a lot of people have with what Donald Trump does, right? They're saying his health is not as good as it was and it used to be, right? And so let's hear.
Is not the reason.
Let's hear what one of the media influencers has to say about them going after Hassan Piker, right? And he's not the only one. They also try to cancel Harry Sisson. They try to cancel anyone that's on the left. Third Way is.
So corporate Democrats are going after Hassan Piker again. And a reminder, these are the same people who have been preaching that we need a Joe Rogan of the left for 2 years. Hassan Piker is not the reason that the Democratic Party is fractured. Neoliberals are fracturing the Democratic Party. Corporatist Democrats are fracturing. So corporate Democrats are going after Hassan Piker again. And a reminder, these are the same people who have been preaching that we need a Joe Rogan of the left for 2 years. Hassan Piker is not the reason that the Democratic Party is fractured. Neoliberals are fracturing the Democratic Party. Corporatist Democrats are fracturing the Democratic Party. Genocidal maniacs are fracturing the Democratic Party. The same people who try to tell you that leftist voices of reason are the problem are the same people who tried to tell you that Bernie Sanders was the problem, who tried to tell you that AOC was the problem, who tried to tell you that TikTok was the actual problem and not Israel's genocidal actions in Gaza. These people do not learn from history and they don't read the room. And it's these kinds of Democrats, corporatist Democrats, elitist Democrats, who are the reason that Democrats fail, who are the reason why people don't trust Democrats. And what they don't understand is the more they go after people like Hassan Piker, the more they are committing themselves to a history of irrelevance. The more they go after leftist voices, the more they make themselves look like idiots, and the less chance they have to lead us out of this hole. So it's infuriating, but it's the same thing, time and time and time and time again. Hassan Piker is not the problem. Corporatist Democrats are the problem. Okay? Bye-bye.
So what do you think, Chuck Chez? What do you think? Is the corporate Democrats the problem? I agree. I mean, I agree with him. It's not Hassan Piker being the problem. It's totally the corporate Democrats. The same ones that pushed Bernie Sanders out. The same ones that pushed Bernie Sanders out are the same ones that continue. They refuse to change. They refuse to change. Right? They refuse to change. And so, do you think at this point they're going to change? You think really at this point that corporate Democrats are willing to change after getting beat down by Trump over and over and over and over? They keep losing to Trump and over and over, and no one trusts them, and they refuse to change their position.
5 years ago, I mean, I was somebody that wasn't a politician, but I was always involved in politics and I understood politics. I said 25 years ago that NATO's a paper tiger, but more importantly, that we'll come to their rescue, but they will never come to ours. And I want you to remember that we said this. They didn't come to our rescue. Now they all want to help. When they're annihilated, the other side is annihilated, they said, we'd love to send ships. They actually made a statement, a couple of them, that we want to get involved when the war's over. No, it's supposed to get involved with the war's beginning, or even before it begins. We had the UK say that we'll send, this is 3 weeks ago, we'll send our aircraft carriers, which aren't the best aircraft carriers, by the way. They're toys compared to what we have. But we'll send our aircraft carrier when the war is over. I said, oh, that's wonderful. Thank you very much. Don't bother. We don't need it. And we don't need it, and we don't need them.
And so Steve Bannon has now made a prediction
NATO has done
about the war. Steve Bannon is making predictions about the war and how Iran is going to end. And so this is what Steve Bannon said. Steve Bannon predicts where the Iran war goes next, according to Newsweek. Former White House advisor Steve Bannon has warned that U.S. troops could be on the ground in Iran as the White House molds whether to dramatically escalate the war with Tehran, now in its 5th week. Thousands of Marines have just arrived in the Middle East, the U.S. military said this weekend, with more on the way, accompanied by elite U.S. Army paratroopers and ships carrying equipment for amphibious landings on Iranian shores. The deployment of extra forces specializing in quickly capturing chunks of territory and in raids is widely seen as a possible preparation for targeted operations on Iranian soil, including its island in the Strait of Hormuz and Persian Gulf, rather than a full-scale invasion. President Donald Trump has said he is not putting troops anywhere, but also told reporters he would not publicly disclose any future ground operations should he greenlight U.S. boots hitting Iranian soil. But the potential for deepening U.S. involvement in the Middle East has split Make America Great Again ranks. The prospect of more U.S. lives being lost in a foreign war, conjuring the ghost of the Iraq War and drawn out fighting in Afghanistan. Ground operations will almost certainly spell significant more troop deaths, on top of the 13 U.S. service personnel already killed in the past month. At least 300 have been wounded. So Steve Bannon is preparing us for a possible ground troops, right? So he's sending the expectation that maybe ground troops will be deployed that no one should be shocked, but the deployments will be limited. The deployments in Iran will be limited, but many people have said that any type of deployment of troops in the Middle East will cause for serious issues and serious problems, right? So let me see.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
Actually release statements. So
Let's see what Hassan has to say about him being canceled. And so when the people with money don't want to see you anymore, they make sure that you're not seen anymore.
then it becomes newsworthy, right? That's when the New York Times will write an article about it. The New York Times is not going to write an article because the ADL is saying I'm an anti-Semite, but the New York Times will write an article if, like, the ADL and AIPAC get a politician to say that I'm an anti-Semite. That's when it becomes, like, actually newsworthy, right? And they've seen a little bit of success in the process, but ultimately, this is not going to change public opinion at all. They've lost the public opinion. This is just them trying to enforce their institutional muscle with the only outlets that they possibly have. Mallory McMorrow yesterday came out with a statement alongside Elisa Slotkin and alongside Haley Stevens. This is, again, about the Michigan Senate race, the Democratic primary that's taking place in the Michigan Senate race, right? Michigan State Senator Mallory McMorrow, that's running for Senate against Dr. Abdul El-Sayed, did a sit-down interview with Jewish Insider, which is a right-wing propaganda outlet for the Israeli government. That's what they do. It's all they cover. And Mallory McMorrow sat down with them and basically said that I am the equivalent of Nick Fuentes, right? Like implying that I'm like a neo-Nazi for having the popular position on Israel, right? Like, because at this point, it's no longer just the moral position on Israel, which it always was, but now it's also the popular position, and it's actually unimaginably popular in the Democratic Party's base. So for her to place herself against Abdul El-Sayed and someone like myself is not to actually win votes. She's not signaling to win over voters. She's doing that to signal to AIPAC that as Haley Stevens' popularity is waning and she's like deeply unlikable, Mallory McMorrow will take on that mantle. Like she will be the more viable pro-Israel slant for AIPAC. That's what she's trying to do. Matt Stoller has some words on this. He says, pretty obvious McMorrow stands with big money in Israel. The criticism of Hassan the Hun is just straight up racism. It's also a problem if you want Dems to communicate to podcasters. You got to be willing to talk to everyone instead of being in a tiny club. Jews need to reject the racism underpinning the smears of Hassan the Hun. Piker will be a key figure in pushing back on anti-Semitism because he doesn't conflate Israel and Judaism. It doesn't really matter, though. A lot of these groups will still continue saying, no, you don't understand. This is the most viable way that we can continue waging this information war. This is the most viable way that we can continue having the conversation on our terms by not necessarily tackling the issue at hand, not talking about Israel at all, but instead trying to cynically smear all of Israel's critics as vicious anti-Semites. You only do that when you don't have any other option. And to be fair to these people, it's very difficult to defend Israel, especially now, especially after 2.5 years of genocide. It's become unbelievably difficult to defend the state of Israel. The American consciousness on this issue has shifted in the opposite direction.
Yeah, so the consciousness has shifted, but the Democrats still haven't shifted, right? They're just ignoring the regular Democratic base and they're just listening to the mega donors and to the rich. That's their main worry. What do the mega donors think? And what do the mega donors want, right? That's their main argument. And that's all they care about. The mega donors. The super rich. They care about the same people that brought down Kamala Harris when she started going left and she started saying leftist things, and they didn't like it, and she had to change her positions on a lot of topics in order for them to back her, right? They had a she had to change her position on a lot of issues, right? Because they didn't like her positions, right? Let's see. Let's do a little experiment. I'm gonna play Kamala Harris, but let me play this.
Yeah, member series, but we all.
Oh man, that's the press gaggle I was looking for, which I couldn't find. Drop site is playing it, right? Let me do the drop site first, and then I'll look up what Kamala Harris is said in her 2020 campaign versus what she said in her latest campaign, right?
Also are dealing directly, and as you know, they've agreed to send 8 boats 2 days ago, and then they added another 2, so it was 10 boats. And now today they get we destroyed many targets today. It was a big day, and we are negotiating with them directly and indirectly. We have emissaries, but we also are dealing directly, and as you know, they've agreed to send 8 boats 2 days ago, and then they added another 2, so it was 10 boats. And now today they gave us as a tribute, I don't know, I can't define it exactly, but they gave us, I think out of a sign of respect, 20 boats of oil, big boats of oil, going through the Hormuz Strait. And that's taking place starting tomorrow morning. Over the next couple of days, a lot of boats. And I would only say that we're doing extremely well in that negotiation. But you never know with Iran, because we negotiate with them and then we always have to blow them up. Whether it's the B-2 bombers or just terminating, as an example, the Iran nuclear deal done by Barack Hussein Obama, probably the worst deal we've ever done as a country, one of the dumbest deals we've ever done. They terminated it, unfortunately, otherwise right now they'd have a nuclear weapon. And we did the attack with the B-2 bombers, and we stopped them from having nuclear. And now we had to blow them up again. And we will probably, I think we'll make a deal with them, pretty sure. Whether it's possible, we won't. But we've had regime change, if you look already, because one regime was decimated, destroyed, they're all dead. The next regime is mostly dead. And the third regime, we're dealing with different people than anybody's dealt with before. It's a whole different group of people. So I would consider that regime change. And frankly, they've been very reasonable. So I think we've had regime change. I mean, we can't do much better than that. The regime that was really bad, really evil was the first one. That was done. The second was appointed, and they're gone. They're all dead. Other than one who may have a little life in him. And then there really are the third group, and the third group of people that seem to be much more reasonable. It truly is regime change. And regime change is an imperative, but I think we have it automatically. I did something today. We just got these in from the architects. A lot of people are talking about how beautiful the boat.
Yeah, so he just like kind of rambled, and then he just talked about the ballroom. I guess he saw the criticism, the New York Times articles about the ballroom and how it was so poorly designed. And so he really wants to talk about the ballroom more than he wants to talk about the war. And we saw the video about the ballroom on how some architects reviewed how it's designed and said it was poorly designed because it has a lot of major flaws, and this causes Donald Trump to really get upset. Don't talk about his ballroom. Don't talk about the statues that he wants built. Don't talk about the medals. Don't talk about his how he wants the money to be his name to be on the dollar bill, his name to be on all assets, and he just wants to put his name everywhere. That's his main thing. He wants to, what you call, control his legacy, right? He wants to control his legacy, and what we think about his legacy, right? Let me see.
Calls, quote, the enemy from within. Donald Trump intends to use the United States military against American citizens who simply disagree with him. People he calls, quote, the enemy from within. America, this is not a candidate for president who is thinking about how to make your life better. This is someone who is unstable.
This was on 2024.
Revenge, consumed with grievance, and out for unchecked power. Donald Trump intends to use the United States military against American citizens who simply...
We said it, right? He's willing to use the military. Let's see. Let me do it a different way. Right, her platform was totally different in 2020. If people don't believe me, right? Right, in 2020 she ran a totally different campaign. Like,
tired of boring news? Here's Gen Spark AI Pods. Come and create your unique podcast.
this was 2019, right? Let's listen to her speak in 2019. Right? Let This was 2019. Her platform was totally to the left, and the whole Democratic establishment didn't like her moving to the left like this.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. My heart is right now. Thank you. Let me start. I want to thank Libby Schaaf, the great mayor of the city of Oakland. Can we have the Libby? That incredible introduction and our long-standing friendship. You know, our mothers were friends together also here in Oakland, and I can't thank you, Libby, enough for your leadership. So here we are. Here we are. Here we are. Well, let me tell you, I am so proud to be a daughter of Oakland, California. And as most of you know, I was born just up the road at Kaiser Hospital. Half a world apart from each other. My father, Donald, came from Jamaica to study economics. My mother, Shamala, came from India to study the science of fighting disease. They came here in pursuit of more than just knowledge. Like so many others, they came in pursuit of a dream. And that dream was a dream for themselves, for me, and for my sister Maya. As children growing up here in the East Bay, we were raised by a community with a deep belief in the promise of our country and a deep understanding of the parts of that promise that still remain unfulfilled. We were raised in a community where we were taught to see a world beyond just ourselves, to be conscious and compassionate about the struggles of all people. We were raised to believe public service is a noble cause and the fight for justice is everyone's responsibility. In fact, my mother...
She had a different perspective
used to say,
how she was speaking.
don't sit around and complain about things, do something. And basically, I think she was basically saying that the people in our society who are most often targeted by predators are also most often the
And if you look at her platform was left-leaning.
I believe and on that point, I believe, and on that point, I believe then, as I do now, no one should be left to fight alone. Because you see, in our system of justice, we believe that a harm against any one of us is a harm against all of us. That is why when a case is filed, it doesn't read the name of the victim, it reads the people. And this is a point I have often explained to console and counsel survivors of crime, people who faced great harm, often at the hands of someone they trust. A more fair criminal justice system. At a time when prevention and redemption were not in the vocabulary or mindset of most district attorneys, we created an initiative to get skills and job training instead of jail time for young people arrested for drugs. For the people.
Thank you, Sensei.
For middle-class families who had been defrauded by banks and were losing their homes by the millions in the Great Recession. And I'll tell you, sitting across the table from the big banks, I witnessed the arrogance of power. Wealthy bankers accusing innocent homeowners of fault, as if Wall Street's mess was of the people's making. So we went after the 5 biggest banks in the United States. We won $20 billion for California homeowners.
So she kept some of her platform, but she got rid of a lot of her platform in 2024. And if you remember, they called her in. She really wanted to run on the populist message of helping the poor and helping the weak and helping the workers. And she had to change her tune because they told her they didn't want her running on tax the rich or on a platform. I'm talking about Kamala Harris, right? Kamala Harris. They wanted her to not speak about the rich so much, or the wealthy, or the Epstein class, whatever you want to call them. And so they wanted her to have a less popular message and to move center, right? They wanted Liz Cheney to be involved in her campaign. They wanted all the centrist Democrats to be involved in her campaign, because when the rich hear left policies or worker-friendly policies, they get scared. That means that, are they going to take my money? Am I going to have to share my wealth with others? They don't like that idea, right? The big companies, yeah, exactly. If Kamala is going to lead, she must lead with versus listen to the Beltway consultants. So right now, so many people are worried about 2028, but we got to get past 2026 first. And their biggest fear, the reason why they went into recess, Congress, is because they're scared of the SAVE Act, right? They want it to pass, and Trump said there's not going to be no business until the SAVE Act is passed. And guess what? Congress vetoed the DHS funding bill because Trump said there's not going to be no congressional business. And when I say Trump, I'm speaking about these same donors that told Kamala Harris, you're not going to run a populist message. You're not going to run a workers friendly message. These are the same people that blocked Bernie Sanders and got Bernie Sanders off the ballot with the superdelegates. Bernie Sanders legitimately won the 2016 presidential nomination. But instead, they did every trick there was in the book to get Hillary Clinton on the ballot. And when Bernie Sanders tried to sue, he did sue. It went all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court. And when it got to the U.S. Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court said that the DNC is a private corporation. Therefore, Sanders' arguments did not apply because they were not a public organization, they were a private company. So you telling me you putting so much power and so much control of the political fate of so many people in this country, millions of people, in control and in the hands of a rich corporation, and people are not upset or find it an issue that a corporation controls this. And so a lot of people's hands are not clean. A lot of the corporate entities and corporate money grabbers are also Republicans' top donors, right? APAC donates to everyone, Republicans and Democrats. Billionaires donate to both Democrats and Republicans because they don't want to lose. They don't ever want to lose. So they increase their chances if they play the card both ways. That's the only way they could always win and could get favor from both sides of the aisle. So when you see a lot of these politicians, such as Governor Kathy Hochul, she has the same donors as Donald Trump. She has 12 billionaires that are connected to Donald Trump and also connected to her. She has 12 billionaires that have given her a lot of money, so she's reluctant to say, hey, I'm going to tax you. That's why she doesn't want to tax the rich, because they called in her favors. She thinks that Democrats should be beholden to the check writers and those people that write the biggest checks. So she's never going to challenge the powers to be, especially since she doesn't want to grovel or have to beg regular voters. Her popularity is not that great. She can't pull off a Zora Mandani type of campaign where he's only taking small donations, where he's door knocking and speaking to voters directly. Kathy Hochul does not have the pull of a Zoran or the, how can I say it nicely, the appeal or the charisma of a Zora Mandani. And a lot of them don't have that charisma. Even Hakeem Jeffries, which has been caught siphoning money from PACs, putting them under different names, and then spreading the wealth to different Democrats across the board. So obviously, they're not going to stand up to big companies like Palantir that have huge contracts with ICE. They're not going to stand up to the defense contractors. They're not going to stand up to healthcare companies that are a huge lobby in this country. They're not going to stand up to the chemical companies. There's so many lobbyists, so many lobbying groups. But if you see Kamala Harris's 2020 campaign, it didn't go anywhere because she was running to the left of everyone. She was running talk about prison reform. She was talking about police reform. She was talking about defunding the police. She was running way left. These are ideas that scare the donor base, right? These are ideas that scare the donor base and definitely get them scared of a candidate like this.
And together we passed the strongest anti-foreclosure law in the United States of America. We did that together. For the people meant fighting transnational gangs who traffic in drugs and guns and human beings. And I saw their sophistication, their persistence, and their ruthlessness. And folks, on the subject of transnational gangs, let's be perfectly clear. The president's medieval vanity project is not going to stop them. And in the fight for the people to hold this administration accountable, I have seen the amazing spirit of the American people. During the health care fight, I saw parents and children with grave illnesses walk the halls of the United States Congress. Families who had traveled across the country at incredible sacrifice.
She's talking about health care and universal health care. She's talking about all these issues that are causing. No, I'm listening to watching a video at the same time, Sensei, and I'm talking about the video, right? I'm discussing the video. I'm streaming on X. I'm streaming on TikTok. I'm streaming on so many different platforms, right? So right now I'm talking about Kamala Harris's video of her 2020 race and how she was left, and how when she ran left to everyone else, they didn't give her no traction. The donors didn't donate to her. She had to fold her campaign because she ran left. She really wanted to run a left campaign in 2024, but the donors told her that she wouldn't do things that way. And at a certain point, some people said that she actually was possibly considering Bernie Sanders as a vice president. And obviously, the mega donors would not allow that, right? They were dictating, running the show, and telling her who she should put on her staff and who should be the people that should run her campaign for her, right? They were like, had a heavy hand in her loss, right? And they also didn't want people like Hassan Piker involved, and he wasn't as big as he is now, but obviously the Democratic establishment has issues with anyone that runs left, right? So I was saying they should be worried about in the midterms, not even worry about the midterms, but worry about fighting Donald Trump in the first place, right? They should be worried about fighting Donald Trump and don't even think about the midterms. Do everything you can to fight against what Donald Trump is doing, and then worry about the midterms, because now you have things that that you could be proud of, that people could respect you for, and you have so many accomplishments. And once you have all those accomplishments, then you can definitely worry about the midterms and not have to worry as much because you accomplished so much. So the first thing people are going to ask you, and voters are going to ask you, is what have you done? What have you done to stop the bleeding, to stop what's happening across the country, to stop the gutting of federal agencies, to stop the gutting of Medicaid, of Medicare, of healthcare, of government programs, of and also spending so much money on the military and spending so much money on immigration and DHS in general, right? So how are you going to explain to the voters how you resisting if you're not resisting as much as you should because you have similar donors? And so that's why they don't speak out about Iran. A lot of them are quiet. And you're saying, oh, but the Democrats are resisting. Some Democrats, it's like a handful that are speaking out and willing to challenge the status quo. The other ones are not willing to say anything or willing to challenge anyone. They just go along with whatever's happening and feel as if whatever they say is what matters, right? So everyone double tap on the screen, like the live, share, hit the follow button on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, Instagram, and now Substack, right? Hit the follow button, hit the follow button, hit the share button. Let's do what we can to be able to speak our voices. So that's my reason why I say cancel culture is still heavy, and both Democrats and Republicans engage in this, right? If not, if cancel culture did not exist, we would have been allowing people like Colin Kaepernick to be playing in the NFL. They never allowed him to ever come back to the NFL after he took that knee, right? After he took the knee, they said he was a betrayal to everything and everything that people stood for, and they didn't allow him ever to play football again. They saw him as a traitor, and they never let him play football again, right? So it's like a double standard that only applies to people of color or people that are marginalized. Or, I mean, what's the issue? What's going on with people? These corporations are too powerful and too controlling, and they watch everything. So this is my thesis, is that people, like, when they run left, they block it because it threatens the rich and it threatens their positions of power and their positions of making profit and money, which is their main concern. So if Trump keeps it up, they will remove him.
Believing that if their stories were heard and if they were seen, their leaders would do the right thing. I saw the same thing with our dreamers. They came by the thousands, by plane, train, automobile. I'm sure they were sleeping 10 deep on someone's living room floor. And they came because they believe in our democracy and the only country they have ever known as home.
She's talking about immigration reform and helping dreamers and those that, so she's hitting the popular left topics, right? The left flank. All her issues are left issues, right? Let's listen to that one more time. This was in 2019.
To hold this administration accountable. I have seen the amazing spirit of the American people. During the healthcare fight, I saw parents and children with grave illnesses.
She's talking about universal health care.
Of the United States Congress. Families who had traveled across the country They came to our nation's capital believing that if their stories were heard and if they were seen, their leaders would do the right thing. I saw the same thing with our dreamers. They came by the thousands, by plane, train, automobile. I'm sure they were sleeping 10 deep on someone's living room floor. And they came because they believe in our democracy and the only country they have ever known as home.
So can you believe it? This is her platform in 2019. She's talking about immigration reform, speaking up for immigrants, speaking up for people that are marginalized, right? This was her platform. And so now you understand why they didn't want her to be the nominee that year. She was running out Bernie Sanders style politics. So, right?
Do that, would call the people to.
So that's the issue I want you to So today, around 2,000 New Yorkers rallied at Lehman College on Sunday, organized by New York City DSA and labor unions, calling for taxes on millionaires and corporations to fund housing, health care, child care, and schools. The event, days before the April 1 fiscal year to the 2027 budget deadline, features Sanders proposing a national 5% wealth tax for billionaires on billionaires alongside New York City Controller Brian Lander and state lawmakers pushing a 2% surcharge on incomes over $1 million, while Governor Kathy Hochul opposes hikes to avoid driving out high earners. Progressives aim to raise billions and state budget talks, with critics warning of business flight. Right? So it was a successful rally, right? Over 2,000 people, which is always great, right? Always great to have so many people on the stage, right? And so hit the like button, hit the follow button, everyone. Oof. I just saw this now. Israel just said that it's going to expand its ground forces on Lebanon, right? It's going to expand its ground forces on Lebanon. Let's see. Let me play a little bit of this. So Kamala Harris wants to run again for president, but I think that's it. Once you lose, you shouldn't keep running. And she takes a lot of corporate money. That's the thing I don't trust about her. The amount of corporate
U.S.
money
and
she
Israel
takes.
began their airstrikes on Iran just over a month ago that the Houthis have entered the fighting. The situation's been vastly different with another powerful Iranian backed group, Hezbollah, in Lebanon. Full-scale fighting between Hezbollah and Israel has been non-stop since the start of the war with Iran, and Israel has now launched an expanding ground invasion of southern Lebanon. Vast portions of Lebanon's south are starting to look like the destruction seen previously in Gaza, something top Israeli government ministers have actually publicly called for. Israeli strikes in and around the Lebanese capital of Beirut are also leaving massive destruction. At least 1,189 people have died in Lebanon, according to the health ministry, including at least 122 children. Yesterday, 3 Lebanese journalists were killed in an airstrike, one of whom had been on air with a live report moments prior. The Israeli military claims that one of the journalists was a, quote, terrorist with Hezbollah, but like they used to do in Gaza, they have provided no evidence to say that that's true. 51 health workers in Lebanon have been killed so far this month.
So it's intensifying many fronts, right? So as Trump says that they're really caving in, they're doing whatever he says, the fighting has gotten more intense, more serious, and so what you want me to say? Can we really trust what he's telling us? Should we trust everything that we're being told by the people that have threatened to cancel reporters and media outlets? As a matter of fact, they kicked them out of the Pentagon. And any reporters that ask tough questions, they've often called the president of the news outlet or the CEO and told them that they don't want this reporter covering the White House. And they removed people and took away people's credentials and haven't allowed them on the grounds, right? They haven't allowed people on the grounds. And so it's just bizarre, this whole cancel culture that we are now part of, and we've always been part of, because when there's a point of view or perspective that you have that people don't like, you have to be prepared that you will be taken out from service. You will not be listened to, and they'll make sure that they silence you, right? It's just that now it's a little bit harder to do, but when they remove your platform, you just have to find other ways to try to reach people. And the alternative was always social media, but that's also being manipulated and controlled now. It's no longer the way away from the mainstream. It's now something different, right? Now it's something different and something that has transformed also, where a lot of channels used to be unbiased and wanted to expand, and now what's happening is that a lot of these channels are not being allowed to expand, and people's point of views are being filtered out with AI technology, with algorithms that are not friendly to certain viewpoints and encourage other viewpoints, algorithms that push certain narratives on people and certain perspectives on people. And so now people are definitely being silenced across the board. everyone, hit the follow, hit the share, like on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, Instagram, and Substack. Hit the share and like button. I appreciate you all. And I did see the followers on X. More people jumping in on X. I appreciate you all for joining me and following me. Let's get these numbers up. And let's get these numbers up. So I say to Hassan Piker, hang in there. Hang in there. Right? Hang in there. Let me see. Let me hear some of the Tax the Rich stream. I didn't realize Status Coop News covered it. Right?
The reason why we have Donald Trump in the first place. I am also tired of telling the Democratic leadership that brought us Donald Trump that you may not be the best leadership to get us out of Donald Trump. And if you're going to try to convince us that you are, you have to change your behavior. And if you fought against all of us when we told you to tax the rich and wealthy before, and you're fighting against us to tax the rich and the wealthy now, you may not have changed your ways, and we haven't learned the lessons that brought us Donald Trump in the first place. I shouldn't have to convince you that we either have to raise revenue or cut services. Someone is going to pay for this budget deficit. I am tired of it being the black, brown, immigrant, and working class New Yorkers who are actually the ones who are leaving New York State in droves. The ones who are not leaving New York City and New York State are the wealthy. So we are not, and I am not up here saying, screaming at wealthy folks just for being wealthy. What I'm saying is everybody has to pay their fair share. Everybody has to do their civic responsibility to make sure this city and state can move forward. And we have to stop balancing the budget on the backs of people who have been broken by the system time and time again. Wealthy people are wealthier since the pandemic. That makes no sense at all while people are suffering. So Kathy Hochul, I know that you do not have a primary right now. But what I want to tell Democratic leaders is stop daring us to come out to vote against someone just to vote instead of voting for someone. That hasn't worked. That's how we got here. Stop daring people and then blaming them for your failed leadership. Show up and be a leader and give us someone to vote for in the first place. Stop protecting your wealthy donors, which are the few. They are leaving New York City the least by percentage. They can afford to pay a little bit more. I am telling you, if you own an airplane or you own a co-op or condo on Park Avenue, you have more money to pay than the person that's working 2, 3, 4 jobs and lives in a shelter right now. If I have to convince you that you need to tax the wealthy, you should not be the standard bearer for the Democratic Party. You might be in the wrong party. It is time for Democrats to not say they're Democrats and be Democrats. Do not force people who have no money to fill this deficit hole. Go to the people that have the money to help us out.
It's Jumaane
It is
Williams.
a civic responsibility, and I'm looking to you, Kathy Hochul, for the leadership in taxing the rich.
Public advocate, New York City public advocate, Jumaane Williams, giving a passionate speech about taxing the rich and how Democrats cancel people and how Democrats are not necessarily the best people to lead the charge. This leadership that is in place that brought us Trump 2.0 and haven't been resistant Trump, but have also refused to go after the regular people, right? They refuse to go after the rich and instead go after the regular people, which is never good, right? Because the rich find a way to dodge taxes. They find a way to dodge being able to pay workers. They dodge anything possible to try to make as much money as possible to pad their pockets and have more and more money. So they're not happy with the amount of money they have. They always find a way to tax other people or pass the responsibility to other
Stand
people.
up, stand firm, get a backbone, put your shoulders back, put your head up, and say, I am going to lead this party as a Democratic Party, not as Republican like.
Yeah, so you're gonna lead the party and push back against Donald Trump.
Not as baby Republicans. What we need now is leadership to get out of the mess that the Democratic leadership got us into in the first place. And my time is up. And I just gotta say this because the news hasn't covered it. The United Nations voted to recognize the institution of slavery is one of the worst crimes in this world. And I gotta shout that out because the news hasn't been covered. Only 3 nations voted no. The United States, Israel, and Argentina. Shame on them. But we're gonna do something. We're gonna make sure you tax the rich, or you may not get what you want at the voting booth. Please tax the rich. It's the easiest thing that we can do. They can take it, and they'll still write you a check, because New York is the best place to be. Peace and love. I appreciate y'all.
Please welcome to the stage our next performer Allegra Krieger.
So there's a lot of speeches going on and a lot of but the main speech was Bernie Sanders. He, like always, came to New York and spoke about his childhood, spoke about how the rich control everything, and is this the world we want to live in, where the rich control the majority of the goods and the regular people just have to suffer along? I mean, is this the world we want to live in, right? I mean,
and the ultra rich. Corporations and the ultra rich need us. We're here with Bernie Sanders. My favorite celebrity, by the way. We're here with Bernie Sanders because this is not just a New York issue. It's a national issue. And New York has the opportunity to once again lead by example, to show the rest of the country how to fight oligarchy. Well, Assembly Member Diana Moreno.
Which is a parasite.
Senator Bernie Sanders.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me begin by saying it is not Bernie, it is
And this is the guy they try to cancel.
you.
This is the guy that they try to cancel many times. They try to stop him from speaking. Right? They try to not allow him to speak many times, and he keeps speaking up, and he keeps fighting. Imagine he would have been president. I keep telling people, imagine how different America would be.
All of us together. Let me thank the SA for inviting me to be with you. Let me thank our brothers and sisters in the trade union movement for being here. Our progressive elected officials as well. And I suspect that many of you were out yesterday on the No Kings Day. As I understand it, more people were out demonstrating yesterday than at any time in the history of the United States of America. I was in St. Paul, Minneapolis area, 150,000 people. And all across this country, the American people are saying no to authoritarianism, no to oligarchy, and no to the continued attack against the American working class. I want to just mention something else while I'm here. I hope all of you understand that the work that you did to elect Zoran as mayor will not only impact this city, it will not only impact this country, it is reverberating all over the world. Wherever I go and speak in this country, and I mentioned what you guys did here in New York City, people erupt. You have given America hope. Thank you for what you do. You showed this country, literally people all over the world, that despite all of the money and all of the power of the oligarchs, people knocking on doors, ordinary people can take them on and defeat them. You did it. Thank you. I think all of you know, and I say this with a bit of pain in my heart for the young people, that we are living in crazy times. We really are. And if you feel a little bit overwhelmed, you're not alone. What we are looking at now is, not only Trumpism and authoritarianism, we are looking at oligarchy, we are looking at the crisis in climate, and by the way, we are looking at oligarchs like Musk and Bezos pushing an AI and robotics which will be disastrous for the working class of this country. So there is a lot that is going on. But today, what I am going to focus on is one issue that does not get the attention that it deserves. Not getting the attention in Congress, doesn't get the attention in the corporate media. And that is the enormous level of income and wealth inequality that exists in America.
So income and wealth inequality in America is at an all-time high, right? It's at an all-time high. And many politicians don't want to acknowledge this. They don't want to acknowledge the income inequality that's happening, right? They don't want to acknowledge it, right? They don't want to admit that it exists and that there is a gap in what people experience, right? So he gave a really good, heartening speech about the state of the country. And hopefully, people are experiencing the disastrous policies of Donald Trump now. You're seeing the prices of gas. You're seeing the prices of electricity. You're seeing the prices of cooking gas, diesel going up across the board. Now you're seeing the medical costs and healthcare being cut, while at the same time increasing funding for immigration and to go after workers and go after families, separate families, destroy the future of those that retire and those that are still working, right? You see in the job market, we lost a lot of jobs in January, February, March. When they release the numbers for March, it's going to be horrible, right? It's going to be horrible. And so Donald Trump ran on lowering gas prices, lowering grocery prices. He promised all types of things just to get into the White House. And I'm surprised people even believed him, because he doesn't keep his promises. He never has, he never will. And so we get stuck with the problems. We get stuck while he gets himself rich, and then he moves on, right? I appreciate you joining me. Keep watching the speech. It's on Status Coop, the whole Bernie Sanders speech, and also the speeches of all the politicians that were there live, which were so many politicians were there live. So I appreciate you all. I'm going to see you tomorrow. Once again, I'm Celso Garcia, political commentator. I'm on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, Instagram, and Substack. So I appreciate you all, and I'll go out with Bernie on my mind, like they say. I'll go out with Bernie on my mind, everyone. Don't get canceled, because they don't like people like Bernie Sanders or anyone that's at the left, like Hassan Piker. So, but we're going to be true to what we believe, which is universal health care, equity and inclusion, diversity, equity, inclusion, income equality, income inclusivity, no wars, no destruction, but love shall conquer everything and shall conquer everyone. I appreciate you for the follow. Thank you for the follow, Christopher. Thank you for the follow. Everyone else, hit the follow button. Hit the follow button. Hit the follow button. Hit the subscribe button. Let's get these numbers up. Only with your help and with your support, we'll be able to move up in this world. Only with your support, the subscriber. Thank you so much for joining me, and I leave you. Peace be with you, and may God be with you. And I trust whatever you believe in. I respect everything and everyone, and let there be peace on earth. All right. Have a good night, everyone.